Where's the cream filling? Now that's the stuff.
Hosting. That's the stuff that's going to save mining. Maybe. Now, if you've been on crypto YouTube for any bit of time, you probably know the logo on my shirt. And then you probably also know that he owns Terra Hosting. And I'm going to prove to you that this guy is a genius. Hold on. Now, I know, you're probably thinking, how is this an unbiased opinion when Hawk just shouted you out and now you're shouting him out? Well, it technically is, because there's something that Hawk doesn't know that you all are about to find out. Now, come a little bit closer. I was actually testing him. You can call it a Terra test.
Kinda just snuck up on me there, man. I fear you're underestimating the sneakiness, sir.
Now, what I was testing him on will be brought up later on in the video, but in the meantime, here are the chapters. I'm going back to the time of 2017 when the super shills like Crypto Nick and Trevon James were all over the place, of which Crypto Nick promoted a little service called Genesis Mining. Back then, Antminer S9s were going for $2,000 a pop, and services like Genesis Mining were appealing to a lot of people trying to get into ASIC mining who didn't have the funds. Now enter me. I didn't have $2K back then like I do now, and I was struggling hard just to find the funds to buy old GPUs to start my mining endeavors. So I created a Genesis account, I bought some SHA-256 and X11 contracts, and I got some decent returns before the company went bust. So how does this relate to current hosting affairs? Well, companies now have hopefully learned from Genesis Mining's shortcomings, so they know how to better handle the risk. Additionally, for those who don't have the income to buy miners themselves, they can look at some of these companies to buy a piece of the revenue generated from a miner at a fraction of the cost. It doesn't matter if you rent or own property, because you are probably seeing an increase on your monthly living expenses. And one of the reasons for this is an increase of electrical rates. For example, where I live, there are talks of increasing our rates by 60%, which will make home mining at scale impossible for me and others in the area. Likely you are paying residential rates, which are normally more expensive than their commercial counterparts. Hosting solves this for you, as they have commercial rates, and will host machines at a slightly higher electrical rate so they can profit and you can benefit from the reduced rate. Most homes, at least in the US, have supply support for 120 volts and a typical 200 amp breaker box. This means that if you follow the 80% rule, your home will only have access to around 20,000 watts of power, limiting your ability to scale your operation. I personally was quoted over $4,000 to get a breaker box installed to support 10 30 amp 240 volt outlets. Is this worth it? Maybe, but even for a financial failure, this is the risk that I'm not willing to take. However, with the hosting provider, they have the infrastructure already set up, and most companies are not charging you for the infrastructure. This is an overhead cost you can ignore when trying to expand, and another benefit to hosting your miners. Mining rigs get dusty and dirty over time, and depending on your environment can become damaged by moisture or extreme heat. Not saying you aren't diligent in removing moisture from your air or making sure your environment is cool, but this is yet another area where hosting shines. Now, remember when I said we'd be talking about Terra again? Well, here's where I think they shine. I sent over my ASIC for testing, and it was well maintained, cleaned, and shipped back to me with no harm to my rig at all. Me personally, I can't say I'm as diligent when it comes to cleaning and maintenance as a hosting facility, but this is their job to ensure the assets are well kept. There's lots to talk about mining is dead, but the hardware used for this so-called dead mining can be repurposed for other things, and one growing sector is machine learning and artificial intelligence. AI is the talk of the town, but a lot of people who use AI probably don't understand the amount of compute power required to do adequate training. And one of the most popular computer components for this, GPUs. So hosting companies have the ability to pivot their services and sell compute power for training. Or better yet, you can supply that hardware and get a piece of the revenue from the hosting company selling that compute power. How cool would that be? Did I change your mind about hosting? Are you thinking about getting your miners hosted? Or are you thinking about taking the leap and creating your own hosting facility? Let me know in the comments. Maybe we can work together. Now I'm gonna switch it up in this video. Instead of me telling you like, share, subscribe, and all this jazz, I just want you to put an F in the chat to let me know you made it to the end of the video. Anyways, peace.